I've got two. I hope it's not the whole. I hope it's really short. I've got two. Got two. Got two. That's it. That's two. That's it. That's two. Let's call this meeting to order. This is a Doraville City Council meeting being held on Wednesday, December 10th, 2025 at 6 p.m. I will call the roll, and before I do, I'd like to first remind everyone to silence their cell phones, and I mean
Let's call this meeting to
order. This is a Doraville City Council meeting being held on.
We're good.
I'd also like to remind everyone that Doraville is proud to be a city of civility. While differences of opinion are natural, let us approach each other with open minds, speak with courtesy, and treat one another with dignity and respect. Respect is the foundation of good governance, and we thank you for upholding the spirit of civility with us. With that, I'll call the roll. Mayor Garman, I'm here. Councilmember Evans.
Here.
Councilmember Ray.
Here.
Councilmember Simmons.
Here.
Councilmember Kuntz.
Here.
Councilmember Armistead.
Here.
Councilmember Henshaw.
Here.
All right, we have a quorum, so I'd like to ask everyone in the room to please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, would anyone like to make a motion to approve tonight's meeting agenda?
I move.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, great. Well, it's a rare month. We don't have any proclamations or recognitions this evening, so we will open it up to public comment. And I'd like to invite anyone in the room who'd like to make public comment to come up to the podium. You can have up to a total of 3 minutes to speak. State your name and where you live before speaking. Also, if you want to use the raise hand function in Zoom, you can. I can't see Zoom, so I don't know if anyone's got their hands raised. I see a hand raised, so let's pull him in. And Tom, once you unmute, state your name, where you live, and you have 3 minutes.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. This is Tom Hart from Gordon Heights, and I think that's appropriate tonight since this sign topper thing came up. I don't, it's amazing. We have this political group from Northwoods, the little mid-century trailer park located next to my neighborhood, decides it's going to put toppers on all the signs, and not only in Gordon Heights and Gordon Hills, which is not in Northwoods, they want to put the sign toppers in unincorporated DeKalb County that's not even part of the city. This has got to stop. You know, Northwoods starts at Raymond Drive. It's a clear area, mid-century houses that were brought in, most of them assembled off-site. And that's Northwoods. It was plumbed together with asbestos piping. And for the last 40 years, people have been drinking and taking a shower in asbestos fibers. But that's not true for my neighborhood or Gordon Heights because it's all plumbed in ductile iron water pipe. So Once again, we have this political organization with 350 citywide votes, which brings up this ranked voting thing, which allows a minority of the city to control the city like it's done for the last 40 years. The other thing on the agenda is this thing about suddenly we're all in everybody's business with the state legislature. If you want to bring all this stuff that should have come up during the election so people could vote on these issues, and so all 8 of these things that you want to send to the state legislature should have been voted on in the last election. Thank you.
Sorry, Kay Griffin, we pulled you in. You can state your name, where you live, and you can have 3 minutes to speak.
Kimberly Henshaw in the historic Northwoods District. I'd like to thank council for your consideration of continuing a request from 2018 put forth to add toppers to the Northwoods Historic District as under the National Registry of Historic Places that includes 5 neighborhoods, including Gordon Heights, Gordon Hills, Sequoia Woods, Fleetwood Hills, and Northwoods all together in one historic district. So thank you for your consideration of the completion of this project started in 2018. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? I'm not seeing any other hands raised and no one's in the room, so we will close the public comments portion. And I'd like to see if anyone would like to make a motion regarding the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Do we have a second? Okay, motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. All right, next up is Jude.
Hi, hello, good evening, everybody. My name is Jude Wagasback. I'm the GIS analyst for the city of Doraville, and got with me
Alex, I'm the intern, GIS.
And I just want to ask everyone who speaks tonight, please speak into the mic because, and I'm sorry, I'm not picking on you, but I watched a meeting from yesterday and people were standing to the side and people on YouTube can't hear anything. So just speak into the mic.
the thing. Great. So we wanted to just give a quick presentation to you guys today, give you an update on the GIS program for the city of Doraville for the year 2025. Okay, so these are a list of all of our projects we've been working on for the past year. Some of these you may recognize. The previous time gave an update this last April. So we've continued on that trajectory and completed a good majority of these projects. So, you know, these include a website redesign and several apps and interfaces on that website. So I'll just kind of quickly go through these one by one here. First up, we've got DoorView, the open data portal. For those unfamiliar with this, this is the city's open data portal. This is available for any resident to come along. We host maps, general information. You can download this data. A lot of it's interactive. If you've got questions about the stormwater infrastructure, we've got it on there. Well, this year we redesigned this website to better match the city's official website that was redesigned earlier this year. So we worked together with Emily, our public relations specialist, and she helped us put together this website. And it looks great. I'm really happy with it. We added a couple of new pages. We highlighted some key statistics, some fun facts about the city at the bottom of all the pages. And that's a lot of fun. Next up, we worked on the Public Works collection map and survey. So this is a great one. So this one shows, it's an application that shows everywhere that the Public Works leaf vacuum, the the stick grabber truck, and the bulk waste collection truck. So it shows the neighborhoods that they visit, and when they visit those neighborhoods. In addition, there's a link at the top of this application that will take you to a bulky item submission portal. So if you've got, a couple of extra refrigerators in your basement you need to get rid of, you can pop them on the curb and you can go to this application and let us know, and we'll come by, we'll pick them right up. Next up, stormwater extensive service map. So this is a map we've had online for a while now, but we've since updated this map since the council has approved the stormwater extensive service policy. So what we've done is we've color coded this to highlight all the infrastructure. We've broke it down to list the public infrastructure versus private. So we've color coded these things to better inform residents and just make it easier for everyone to know what's what. In addition, there's a couple other fun buttons on there, like an elevation map. We show all the impervious surfaces in the city. In addition, the county sewer infrastructure is on there too, from DeKalb County. Next up, we worked on the capital projects tracking dashboard. This one is still in progress, still a work in progress, but it's a good work and good progress. We are tracking all of the capital projects that the city is working on in all of the departments. So, we've got our recreations and parks projects on here. We've got public works, and this dashboard is filterable. So you can select, maybe you only want to see the public works, what they're up to. So you can select that and it'll filter out all the others. You can filter by the date that those projects were started, and a few other things, project type, et cetera. So in addition to better informing the public as to what the city is up to, this really helps city staff to keep track of what we're up to. So all of the city staff, all of the different departments have access to this and can update it, and the map will be updated accordingly. So we can all keep better track of what we're working on. Okay, cloud permit integration. This is a big one. I'm really excited about this. We've been working on this one for a while now, and it's finally come together. We worked with Esri, our GIS software provider. We worked closely with them this year. In addition, Alex really helped out a lot on this one on the back end. So what we've done is we have now been able to take all of the data, all of the permits, business licenses, code enforcement data. We've taken that directly from the city's third-party service called Cloud Permit. So we can now directly see all of that data on this handy dashboard here. So, this includes, again, building permits, code enforcement, land use, and so on. This can also be filtered just by selecting each one of those items. If you only want to see business licenses, you can do that. You can filter it specifically by the type of license. You can get really detailed with it, filter it by time, and so on. And this will be automatically updated weekly. So we'll get this talking to each other and automatically updated. So that's been a favorite project of mine. And then lastly, a little bonus project for you guys. This has been kind of our intern Alex. This has been his pet project all this year, and it's I really like it a lot. So we'll let Alex take this away.
So this is the Business Wizard. The idea was kind of that people in Doraville could go to a website and instead of having to go through the zoning use table and the code of ordinances, just see on a map where they're allowed to have certain businesses based on like what type of business or where their address is. So when you open the website, there's 4 main buttons. The first button will bring you to a permitted business use map, which will have a list of all the uses that you can have or all the businesses that you can have in Doraville. You can select or search through it for whatever business type you like, and it'll show on the map conditionally allowed and allowed with green and orange, zones. Alternatively, if you know where you want to put your business, but not what, you can go to the second button and you can search for your address, and using that, it'll show you a list of all of the businesses that you're allowed to have and conditionally allowed to have at that address. And then you can also do that with the zone. Search by zone and see which are conditionally and which are allowed. Then the third button is just a link to the form. You can submit questions through the form directly to our planning email. And then the fourth button is just a link to the zoning use table in the Code of Ordinances. Yeah, that's pretty much it. The idea was just to have it more accessible to the users.
All right. Whoops, wrong direction. Okay, and with that, I know I kind of sped through things. I've had a lot of coffee tonight, so if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask.
Well, just say great work. And I think a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs, people who want to open businesses will really appreciate the work that you did, Alex. Councilmember Coons, do you have any? Councilmember Evans?
Oh, great presentation. Thank you for sharing. Two questions. Is there a projected date that the capital projects tab will be available?
I would imagine it shouldn't take too much longer, within the next month or so.
And then I didn't see, I was looking, is there like a potential FAQs page as well, just so people can go to that? And
No, that's a really good point. So for any specific map or just for all of them in general?
maybe in general, so
Okay.
if they don't know how to navigate it, possibly in multiple languages, that they can figure it out rather quickly.
Yeah, no, that's good. I'll put that on the list. I like that idea. I know a lot of these apps, Esri has now integrated a language translator automatically. I know the bulk items collection survey is translated. You can translate it into any language known to man, and several not known. But the other ones you can kind of, there's a workaround where if you use like a Google Chrome browser, it's got its own auto translate feature. So we're working on it. Yeah.
Councilmember Henshaw?
Yeah, thank you. This is really great. I love data, and this is a really great, easy way to access data. Developers will appreciate this. And I did want to just mention that I'm really proud that the city, however many months or years ago it was, that we chose to take the stormwater burden off of the individual residents. I have a friend that lives over in Drew Valley in Brookhaven, and he's about to undertake a $30,000 or $40,000 stormwater project on his property because he got unlucky and has a stormwater pipe on his property, and they don't cover that sort of thing. So I'm glad that Doraville took that step to do that, to protect our residents from having to have these really unexpected bills. It's much easier when you can just share the burden across the groups. So thank you for that. And then, yeah, this is great. Thank you for all this data. This is really awesome. And thank you for your fun pet project. That actually seems very helpful. So
Thank you. Councilmember Armistead?
Yeah, I love the business wizard. So the cloud permit is completed / in progress, is it?
Oh, yeah, that's right. That was because it was in progress last week when I submitted the slideshow. It has since been completed this morning. So if you go online to DoorView, it's top of the ticket, right at the top of the page. Yeah, have fun.
And I like the FAQ idea, but I'm wondering if you have the time to go a step further and maybe do a quick tutorial to say like, I want to know if my neighbor has a permit to cut down that tree. How do I do it? I anticipate getting a lot of questions about that functionality because I know people are very excited to have it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was kind of thinking when he was asking about the FAQs, I know there's a website, there's a program where you can kind of you can make a tutorial of yourself, and record a screen share basically, and go through the application that way. And then that's a little bit more accessible across different languages too. So yeah, we could definitely do something like that.
Yeah, thank you. This is great.
Sure.
Councilmember Simmons.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, one of my questions, first of all, thank you guys for doing this. It's great. I like all the info and it's easy and it helps guide people that are inquisitive and wondering as well as developers. But yeah, one of my questions was going to be about public knowledge of permits. So when you guys spoke about that, I went online and can find it. And for anyone listening to Councilmember Armstead's question about finding stuff, there's a magnifying glass on the map. You type in the address and it takes you to that house and permits can be seen. I just looked it up. So just anyone listening, that was really cool because I was wondering the same thing because there's two search buttons, but it's the one inside the map and it was really cool. So thank you on that because I always get a lot of questions about if they have a permit or not. In the old system, we used to be able to look at that and now we can do that again. So thank you. Really like the business wizard, what you were talking about, like having the zoning and all that's really gonna help with development and all. My question is there something on the back end when we rezone an area, Austin or the planning department and all them can just click something where it changes on the map, or do we manually have to go in and enter it? Sorry, Alex, my bad.
Yes, it will have to be redone, but the zoning table that
Okay.
ordinances will just have to be copy and pasted into
Mhm.
Excel. That's fed into a program that we have running on the SQL server in the police department.
Yeah, I was just wondering how good technology has gotten if it can get like that. Yeah, but you probably have to spend more money to get that part. But no, that's good. Thank you.
But to that point, is there a process where every time zoning is updated, that chart gets updated? Because if we're using this system, it's important. I see
Yeah.
Austin nodding, but
So yeah, like a Monday meeting, fill out this form. Let's do it. Sorry, you can answer that for the mayor.
Oh yeah, the zoning map is automatically updated. Yeah. Yes.
So that's our process. Like we go through it, Austin, we'll get with you guys and I guess just want to make sure because we've been good about that stuff recently. I just want to make sure we stay.
Zoning map is automatically updated, so every time, well, it's updated by Jude, which then updates everything that is connected to that. So every time we rezone something and it's updated by either Alex or Jude, then all of the things that are feeding from that will have the updated zoning. The use table, whenever we update that via ordinance, has to be downloaded and then put in so that those two parts are
Sweet.
correct. The zoning part is more or less.
That's awesome. And so back to the permit question, how long do we leave permits on for certain houses? Like once they close it out, do we close it out on that house? Because I've seen stuff in 2021 and
So
2020.
for the map, right
Yeah,
now,
the
it's
map.
all records.
Okay.
Since we've started utilizing Cloud Permit. But again, you can filter by active or closed cases. You can also filter by a date range as well to kind of narrow that down because I know it is a lot of records on there.
Yeah, no, I don't mind. I'm just wondering just on the back end if we want to take stuff out. And then I think that was it, other than just want to make a statement. Councilmember Henshaw said with Brookhaven, that's unbelievable. I'd just cap the pipe and say, you guys deal with it if it was me. Thanks.
Councilmember Ray.
Yeah, thank you. This is really awesome. One question on the cloud permit. Does that include like active tree cutting permits too? Because I get a lot of calls from residents now that I've had a couple tree ordinance things. And so curious if they'd be able to go and look and see if it's open.
Yeah, so the cloud permit dashboard does include tree permits, and we actually had a meeting about this specific question a few weeks ago. So I did mention that the cloud permit records get updated weekly, but we are working on specifically tree permits to update that data daily because we get a lot of those. Just the number,
Mhm.
the volume calls for that. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then Alex with the business wizard, I think this is awesome. And if anyone was paying attention during the zoning talks, there's a lot of questions that come around kind of use cases that are allowable. I was curious, is there a way or could there be a way where somebody could, rather than looking through the use case table, like select the zoning they're curious about, and then it pulls up like a list of, these are the businesses allowed, these are the types of homes allowed, and in a more kind of readable way than having to go through a table and see what's checked off.
Yeah, so it's still a readable like output. It outputs a list of all the use cases. And it's in the second button you click, and there'll be a list of all the zones, and you can click which zone you're interested in.
Okay, awesome. And then last one, have we had a chance to do like a social media blast or anything to announce some of these updates? Because I think a lot of people would be interested in trying them out.
No, I don't think we have yet, but I guess that's going on my to-do list as well.
There we go. All right, thank you.
I guess I have a follow-up question based off of what Councilmember Simmons said about the filtering, and I'm just wondering, is there an option for like templates to like that the person doesn't have to like set everything, but it's like, here's what a lot of people ask for. So what are open permits today? Like, and just get that, because I don't think people care about what you might care. Like you might want to look what happened in 2021, but people are probably really just going to want the current what's open, does my neighbor have a permit, whatever the question is. And so if there's a way to do that, I think that will make probably ultimately your life a little bit easier by not having complaints about sorting through the data, but then I think make it a little easier for residents who are trying to look at this system.
Yeah, I think it is totally possible, and I think that's a great idea. So something we can get started on.
We have one more question here too.
Sorry, I just happened to look up a code enforcement record and it doesn't have any dates associated with it. That might just be the one I happen to be looking at, but would there normally be a date of like the visit or the citation or something?
So for code enforcement data, we have taken the dates off just as a matter of privacy for some of those records. But all the other record types have the dates enabled.
If there is a code enforcement record, does that mean it's sort of an open case, or is it still like
So
all the historical?
you can see if a code enforcement case is active or closed, but not the exact date that it was opened or closed.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks.
All right. Next up, we have our interim city manager report from Chief Chuck Atkinson.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'll try to be brief so we can go on. Just want to give a quick update. The city center, we're still moving forward. LDP is in process. We're working through DeKalb with DeKalb to move that forward. And I look to have Mr. Sobel here next week to give a brief update on what we've been doing. We're still working and moving through everything. From finance, the audit is ongoing. China and her staff are working with that. And in human resources, China and her staff are handling the holiday party for staff. That'll be on December the 17th. And we'll have the front office closed from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. so that staff can attend that. We'll be sure that we have provided notice of all that. Shantae presented the DDA meeting dates that were approved to the DDA last night, so they're aware of that. Those meeting dates. Holiday cards have been sent out. They were actually sent out today. TextMyGov will begin being promoted in January. We had a soft launch with that last month. In January, we'll begin pushing it out, and it is on our website. Department heads, Emily asked all the department heads to start working on their state of the city information, and she'll begin working on that soon with the mayor, getting that ready to go. Austin said that Georgia Power did not come back with any issues on our path plans over at Sequoia High School, Middle School. So we look to get that out to bid soon. Norcross and Brookhaven has also adopted our Buford Highway Safety Plan, the Buford Highway Safety Plan. And Austin attended the first Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee meeting that was held at the arena. Said that that was a good meeting. Chris LaFleur and the Public Works employees are still working to repair the lights on Buford Highway underneath 285. That's going to take a little time. As I mentioned, we've had to order the lights. They hadn't come in yet, but they are working on it. They're also working to address some issues of lighting at Halpern Park. We were made aware of some lighting issues at Halpern Park, and they're working to address those issues. They're also having a pre-construction meeting for the Harbor Valley stormwater issue, as well as catch basin in the Oak Cliff area that I mentioned to you at a previous meeting. Should see repairs start soon on those two projects. From the library, computers have been delivered to the library, although I'm being told that the internet has not been set up yet for whatever reason. They're still working off of the city's network. So we're working through that, try to take care of that. And as I mentioned, story time will come back in January and will be held every Monday and Friday starting January the 9th. Parks and Rec held the Spirit of the Season event this past Saturday at the arena. The event was a success. They gave away over 140 toys and 3 bicycles and had over 500 people in attendance. It was reported everyone had a good time. Our basketball season has started, and our 10U teams and our 12U teams won. Starting this Saturday, all of our games will be held at the arena. And we got some money, which is always good. Parks and Rec received a grant for $12,500 to be used for the summer camp to assist with registration and other expenses that they might have. Code enforcement, they've been conducting code enforcement officer interviews for their open positions, and they're in the last month of doing their 2025 business license checks. From the police department side, we had officers participate in Chambly's Shop with a Cop event this past Saturday. Chambly invited us to send some officers as well as some families down to their event, which was a good event. So we participated in that this past Saturday, and we'll be participating in DeKalb FOP's Shop with a Cop event this Saturday. And that one will be, I believe they go to the Walmart off of Lawrenceville Highway with the kids. And I mentioned that we had a traffic fatality, a double fatality. The perpetrator got away. He was eventually taken into custody later that night by the work of our detectives. Well, he was injured really bad, and he was in ICU for a long time, and we had to have an officer sit on him for as long as he was in ICU. Happy to report that DeKalb has assumed custody of him. He's still in the hospital, but DeKalb has assumed custody of him, so it relieves us from having to send an officer down to sit at Grady every day. So that's good. And with that, that's the update.
All right. Thank you, Chief. We'll see what questions council has. I guess I have 2 quick questions. Who is the grant for the summer camp from?
It's the Boost grant, right? GRPA.
Okay, so the Georgia grant. And then I guess this is kind of like a high level question, and you guys may have a reason not to do this, but it seems like the lights under the interstate are out all the time. And I'm just wondering, maybe we could buy some extra lights and have them ready to put in there if that's the issue. I mean, I seem to remember that there maybe were some other issues there too, but
Talked to Chris LaFleur about it, and evidently a truck or some large vehicle flipped a wire, and then it shorted out everything. if I remember correctly, of our conversation. So, and we worked with GDOT to try to get them to handle it, but
I think we know they're not going to
exactly.
prioritize it.
As far as your question, we can order it and hopefully.
I'm just thinking like it seems like something that comes up more frequently than it doesn't. So maybe something to look. I don't know how expensive they are. I certainly don't want to hold on to lights that we're never going to use. But if we think we are likely to use them, it maybe makes sense to have them on hand. Councilmember Ray.
Yeah, thank you, Chief. Really only one question or a couple questions, I think. You mentioned the Bernard Halpern lighting. Is that along the walking path of that? Okay. Yep. Awesome. I've gotten,
Very back part. We have lights out there.
yeah.
But one of them was blocked by some tree limbs.
Mhm.
But one area has been identified that's
Yeah, I've had a couple people reach out, and so that's great. And then any updates or high level updates on movement with the Resia or Kmart property at all? Anything new there?
thing.
Okay, I was just curious. Thank you.
Councilmember Simmons.
Thanks, Mayor. No, thanks for the presentation, Chief. I think it covered all. I really didn't have much, but all this talk about Georgia DOT, I sort of just had sort of a comment, just thinking, I was talking with the CID meeting and we're going to work up a letter to send to them about, you know, how they're talking about the egress onto Flowers Road over there where Underfoot Design used to be on that curve. And I was just thinking maybe I'll talk with council and mayor and everyone about us writing a letter saying, if we agree, don't think we should dump the egress off that toll lane onto Flowers. They were talking about getting another letter.
The managed lane.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be more Peachtree Boulevard or Beaufort Highway if it was my choice. But anyway, I guess that's a talk another time. And then no, I like the shop with a cop. That sounds good. You guys handcuffed together when you shop?
I don't know about that, but it is a good time, and the kids enjoy it, and it's really that community involvement is good.
No, that's awesome. And thanks to Kim and the staff for that grant for summer camps. I know I brought up in the past to look at it. I know we need the summer camps for the kids that really need it, and the parents, so they can go work. So that's like really awesome to hear that we got that.
All right. Thank you. Councilmember Armistead.
Thank you. I'm just curious about the DeKalb taking custody of that guy while he was still in the hospital. Are they easing up on that policy that you have to stick with them until they leave?
If they're in ICU, they generally will not take custody of them. They send their medical director down and he does an analysis. And he actually went down twice. He went down originally and then kind of said no. And then after he had been there for a little while, several days, week, they went back down and then at a point they felt comfortable taking custody of him.
Okay.
So, I want to say that it was good that we took him into custody, obviously for the case, but quite possibly for his own health. So.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Henshaw.
Thanks for the update. That strike was on Beaufort Highway, correct? So that was the pedestrian or the vehicular fatality that was on Beaufort Highway.
Oh, there was an accident on Beaufort Highway, but then he went up the wrong way on 285.
Okay.
Hit a van,
Okay.
285 and Beaufort Highway.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that unfunded mandate is still frustrating, and I don't know what the path forward is with that. But no, thank you for the update. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Councilmember Evans.
No questions, Chief. Thanks for the update.
Thanks. Councilmember Kuntz.
Yeah, well, it was one of the weekly updates. We got a thing about about the Roman Holiday Spa having those coin-operated gambling machines. And I know when they came to us for the original conditional use permit, we had an extensive conversation with them about them not being allowed at all if they were going to be open 24/7 and doing massages and all that stuff. It didn't really seem like a coexisting kind of a thing. And they fought it a little bit, but then they finally conceded that for this to go forward, they would never install any at all. And to me, that was a vote that I struggled with. And that was what kind of made me have some good faith that if they were willing to do that, that they were going to do what they said they were going to do. And since they were approved, it never turned into like this Jeju kind of, thing, bringing in people from all over Metro Atlanta, kind of a thing like they were painting it as. But then for them to come in and install gambling machines when they are 100% aware that that was violating their conditional use permit, what are we planning to do?
Right now, we have them in, they're coming to court on December the 16th.
Okay.
So once that happens, then we will be able to take further action if that's desired. So,
I mean, I know that like the first step is revoking their occupational tax certificate, but I won't be around for this, but I would hope the council would consider revoking the conditional use permit on that property as well, so that they don't just transfer the title to business into their cousin's name or something and come back and just do the same thing over and over again, because clearly they don't have, I've lost trust that they are, going to operate in an honest manner. So.
well, we'll work with code enforcement and Austin and community development, as well as legal, and we'll come forward.
Okay. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Thank you. Cecil, were you gonna introduce the next thing, or? And you're not asking us to vote on anything out of these tonight, right?
And I admit to being the culprit that didn't speak into the microphone
Yeah.
last night from, it was reported, and I apologize for that. No, this is a follow-up on our prior agenda item last month, where we looked at the 4 items proposed regarding the assembly and the sidewalks, et cetera. And for this meeting, what we wanted to do is come back with an update, show you where we were. A lot of documents have been prepared. It's a very fluid process. So some of the documents that you had further revisions. But what I wanted to do was have this in front of the council so we could get feedback on where we were, let you know where we are in the process, and sort of get direction on where we should go. So it's the same 4 items. There was a little bit more in the package. Justin's here with a status update, and we can answer it. Basically want to answer any questions, take your direction, and then hopefully come back on the next agenda, and we'll be able to make a determination at that point of how to go forward on it. One document I did want to give you, and Justin got this to me this evening. It's relevant. There we go. It's relevant to the first item on the connected sidewalk up to New Peachtree Road. And it's the letter from GDOT that it shows sort of where they are in the permitting process. Justin had mentioned it, but he gave me the document tonight, not in the package because the package had to go out last week, but I wanted to hand this out, and I'll also give Shante one for the record. So
Can we go through each one of these together and then ask questions at the end?
absolutely.
Okay, let's do that.
Absolutely. And I'm going to let Justin, I'll probably get on the part, but otherwise Justin take the lead.
Yeah. Just speak into the mic.
Will do. I'm part culprit to that last night, I imagine, as well. I apologize. Mayor and council, good to see you. Thank you for allowing us the opportunity to give you an update on these items for assembly. We'll start first with the pedestrian ramp from New Peachtree down to Motors Industrial. So as he shared with you, since the last time we were here, we got an update from GDOT in the form of some notes back on our original plan submittal. I asked our Keck and Wood, our civil engineer team, to kind of give me a high-level narrative of what they came back with. And fortunately, what we've come back with are 4, in our opinion, minor notes. The first of which is landscaping trees. In our plan, we had called out some trees being a caliper beneath the required minimum. We will update that on the next submittal. GDOT asked us to provide full retaining wall design calcs on that ramp down. We had those calculations. We just did not submit them the first time. They will be submitted in this next pass. And then another comment from GDOT was about a pre-approved 42-inch safety rail that exists along these retaining walls. We had contemplated a custom safety rail, so we will go back to GDOT spec rails. Aesthetically, they look about exactly the same. So that will be part of our next submittal to fulfill that note. And then the last one was some lighting photometrics and lighting plans. We had our lighting vendor go out in the last 2 days and complete that lighting plan. So our goal is to either by end of day tomorrow or the next day, resubmit back to GDOT addressing all of these comments. So above and beyond the GDOT comment, I'll remind you that we also have an executed contract I have in my hand today for delivery and executed performance bond with the city of Doraville for this contract in the amount of $1.822 million. To date, I would also say, just to reflect the importance of this to Assembly, we are very intentional about where we spend our funds. That's why we had a pre-meeting with the GDOT district engineer before this was all submitted to make sure there weren't any landmines along the process. It's forecasted close of construction draw this month. We will have spent close to $150,000 to date on this project. I'd just like to affirm that we are not spending that just to show you a rendering. We are spending that to show you that we contemplate and commit to completing this project. We believe that this is a critical asset. Now, had Austin invited me to be a part of that committee planning meeting, which was a great opportunity. And one of the things that came up overwhelmingly was the need for accessibility and walkability. We feel that this will fulfill a lot of that, and we want it for World Cup. And so our contract now is about 16 weeks once we can get going on this. So we are pushing GDOT as hard as we possibly can to get an answer as quickly as we can. As we mentioned earlier, it's a process, and we're trying to expedite it to the extent possible. Do you want to go through all of them? Okay, yeah, let's do it. I believe the next item is the park. Okay.
Park agreement. Based on the document that we had looked at last time, I'd provide you with sort of just bullet points on the park agreement, which had the proposed basic principles of the park agreement. In the packet, we have a first draft of that, which we've submitted over. I think in the general format, everybody is in agreement with it. It creates the easement to the city for the general public access. It provides that we will have the 12 events come together in October to do joint planning on those events. One thing that we did on that is there is a band shell that's currently being constructed, and we did limit the public access to the band shell because I don't think we want that to be something that the public can have unfettered access to. So we have that. There is a revision that is currently out there where we are still working on the city's priority use is easy. We have the 12 events. We submit them, and pretty much we're entitled to 12 exclusive use events. We had criteria we were talking about for the Assembly's priority use events. We had talked about sort of having a baseline dollar amount that was involved, that third-party filming would be involved, but there would be some guardrails. So there is a general outline of that in the document you have. We have received a more comprehensive response on that, and we're going to get together and work through that to come up with something hopefully that we can agree to. Staff would be on board as well to a workable process, but I think they wanted more detail on that process. The naming is in there that basically says we have the option to add at Doraville to that. And yeah, I think those are the basic things. We have a good draft. It captures it. I think everybody is in basic agreement. There's a little bit more details. My goal is to have this all in your package no later than Friday to have what we propose as a document everybody is in agreement on. The rules and regs and maintenance we'll need to talk on that.
Yep.
Because, a lot of that I have going out just according to the cities.
Correct.
This is a conversation that will happen in the next very short period of time. But that's where we are, exactly where we are. I think on the big picture items, we are good, but there are some devil in the details we're still working on as far as that document goes.
I believe I don't have the agenda in front of me. Next item is the roads. As I submitted in the letter, I believe it was last week, phase one roads are, in our opinion, ready for conveyance as it relates to assembly. We covered this in the DDA meeting last night and had the opportunity, Chief Atkinson brought up some of the existing roads around the Serta property that we inherited when Gray purchased. There was the question of the ability to cure some of those damages that are existing now. We had an opportunity to walk that today and came back with a quote this evening so that we can correct those items. So we have on our schedule right now to begin Friday, milling of the existing concrete with a 1.5-inch asphalt overlay, a section of about 27 feet wide by 420 feet long. So pretty extensive curing of the current conditions. And we will, it's around $45,000, but we have engaged with a local contractor who can get it completed by the end of this weekend. So we have released them to schedule and do the work. No other comments on the roads unless Mark, we have Mark Block here, have any comments on any of the conveyance documents that have been submitted? Yes, sir.
One document that does exist, and Justin and I had talked about this, is as part of CID's process, they had Lowe Engineering monitoring the construction of the roads. So Lowe has documents that are with all of the roads that sort of are certifying the construction of those roads. And that's a document that we should have in the packet next time it comes before you, so you can review that.
Correct. Thank you, Cecil. And to clarify that it's similar to what we've done for the underground stormwater, for the rail trail, for all of the public improvements we've made out there as part of the TAD. And that will include, Lowe's review will include the section I just discussed, the repair that we're being made to the existing road. So they will review that as well. Right, as part of that conveyance, the roads curb to curb, and then a perpetual easement for the right-of-way improvements to include the sidewalks, the landscaping, the lighting. That work is maintained through the maintenance agreement with the AMA. Yep.
And Cecil, on the sidewalks, I just want to be sure that you and I have talked about this, but it's clear that those are basically sidewalks the public can walk on.
Just like the park.
Yeah.
We have a permanent easement for the public access to those sidewalks. So yes, it is just like the sidewalk for us, but the assembly will maintain the fee interest under it, but you can't obstruct an easement. If I have a right to have the public walking on that and they come in and say, we're going to stop that, then that's a problem. You cannot do that with an easement in place.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else? That's it?
Oh, that's it. Thank you for the opportunity.
Sure. We'll see what questions folks have. Councilmember Evans?
Thank you, Mayor. I just was looking for some clarity on the easement as a whole. It's on the sidewalks and the park. So anyone?
Yeah, if you want. Yeah.
There are two separate easements. So one of the documents in your packet is the easement for the park agreement. So when you do an easement, what you're taking is, I have a right to come to the property and I have a right to do something on the property. It's a real vested interest. And in the park agreement, the easement, the grant is for the public to come to the property and have access to it basically for free play. So what free play means is you can't go have a baseball league out there or anything like that, but the public, as I like to put it, I can walk my dog out there, I can throw a ball to my dog, etc. So that, when you look at the park easement, the grant of the easement is that use for the public to come and have to avail itself for park purposes of that property. With that easement, there's going to be some further, that one gets more complex because we go into, well, this is the city can have exclusive use for these 12 events. So that's different from me, just anybody can come walk their dog. And then, as we said, Assembly is going to have the right for exclusive events, such as the filming, we said, as well as sort of where we're working to define the events. In the first agreement, we talked about just events with an impact of over, some delineated dollar amount of the demonstrated impact to the public. That is the piece that is still in conversation, because we've gotten some language and we are planning to talk about that tomorrow.
And those dates have to be from the city by October 30th or so?
I think we said, October 1st, something like that. But it gave us a few months to both get each other's priority dates and then work through a schedule of what was known. And then there's a process to approve things for what aren't known, what come up during the year.
But that date sounds like it ties to the budget. So
That's
to be in the budget process and then say, here's what we want.
If there's any,
Should do it on that date.
if there's any fluctuating with the dates that are ironed out before October 30th, is that within writing that they can change, or flexibility? scheduling?
There's a paragraph in the easement, which is common, which says the parties will cooperate to work out any scheduling, et cetera, throughout it. Because what might happen is we have, there's a pre-existing event and then somebody comes in and wants one, and there'll need to be a process. It'll be a process basically of everybody to work with each other. But the defined 12 events, that's not a process. We have that.
I
That
just
is a
want to make
thing.
sure that there's no concurrent blackout dates and then we don't get 12, we get 10 or something like that. You know what I mean?
Mm-mm. Not gonna, that very clearly states we get the 12 events for exclusive use, very clear.
And in the event, not hoping that it ever happens, that the property is transferred ownership.
By virtue of it being an easement, it's an interest in land, so it runs with the land. So, and one of the things we did, and I will say, Ben Brooks, who I might have here next week, is the DDA attorney. Great guy. I also had him look at it because there's a DDA component, because the DDA holds the fee to the whole property. So what Ben and them, in looking at it, made sure that even if the DDA was bought out of the agreement, that it would still merge into the underlying property. Those provisions are in the agreement. So as an interest in land, it runs with the land.
And I do recall the conversation that this wasn't necessarily coming back until the connectivity was finalized. Was there any particular reason that this is happening before it's actually done and we're still waiting on GDOT for that to happen?
I mean, part of that is these roads have been completed now for close to 23 months. Gray has, a great interest too. We're paying the services on the debt, our debt services on that bond, which does cost us real money and time. So we are hoping to get these roads conveyed by year end while we work through that process. We recognize that's a gracious accommodation by the city to consider that. That's why we went the steps to get things like the performance bond and things like that in place to give more confidence to that process. But it's a critical path item for Gray for year end, for what we've communicated to investors and shareholders as well. Yeah.
And from a city perspective, I just want to ask our staff, our planner, is this a good time for us to do this right now?
To do what?
To move forward in this direction, or do we need to make sure that we have a firm answer from GDOT? Because my understanding, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that it's GDOT's property. And if they say no to the connectivity, then there's a no for the connectivity, period. Is that correct?
Unless there was an acceptable alternative, but by the letter of the city benefit number 3, it is a ADA accessible pedestrian path. So to your point, if GDOT said no, it would throw into question the viability of that benefit at all. Yeah.
I mean, the letter is definitely it gives some grace to that. I'm glad to see that. So thank you for working on that. But I just want to make sure that from the city perspective, that's the case.
I guess I don't know. I'm just saying myself, I'm not sure it makes sense to ask staff. I think if you ask Austin, he'll say, yes, we should be working on getting the path built. It's kind of more of a council decision. Should we make this accommodation to get the performance bond. I think that the whole idea was, we want to see this get built. They really want to release they want to get some of that debt taken care of. And so this was a way to kind of get that process moving more quickly. You know, do I wish that that connection had been done sooner? Yes. But, you know, I think we are moving in the right direction. As you can see, I think it's really ultimately up to you guys, but I don't think the staff can tell us anything about it, 'cause it's really like, if GDOT came back and said you can't do it, are you gonna say we're never gonna release the bond?
No, that's
I
not the
mean,
case. But is the performance bond worth anything if GDOT says no? Is it actually worth
think
the 1.822?
that's a question for Cecil.
So the performance bond we have is a really typical bond that what happens is if you have a project, somebody starts a project, somebody will probably deal with these, and somebody falls apart in the middle of a project, that bond, it's not easy, but you can come in and you can work the bond holder through the process where they'll come in, provide the funds, and work through the project being completed by a third party, not the guys that fell apart, right? So it's a way to get it done. In this situation, if GDOT said, can't build it, then the bond's not particularly helpful because the bondholder won't say, well, then I'm going to give you $1 million. No, that bond is in place for a project that is moving forward, and for whatever reason, it is not completed. Where it could be not you guys, but it could be the owner fell apart on it and the financing wasn't there, or it could be the contractor was incapable of doing it, which I've dealt with those. And then what happens is you begin a process, a very legalistic process with the bondholder of, I am giving you notice, they give you this, you start throwing documents back and forth, and you got to dot all the I's and T's, but you do it and they start paying pay apps to keep people moving and to finish the build of that project. GDOT says no, they're not going to give you $1 million, $1.8 million.
Now, to that point, is there an alternative plan to say, hey, GDOT doesn't like this design, can we go with a plan B, a different design, to still keep it moving forward?
We would
In the
be
event they say no.
open to that, subject to it's a design that's approved by council to satisfy that benefit. As the benefit's written now, it is ADA accessible. So in a hypothetical sense, GDOT came back and said, we can't do ADA accessible, we could do this. It would have to be a plan that would be approved by council, again, to satisfy the intent of that benefit that I.
To Councilmember Evans's point, Cecil, say GDOT did say no, would the performance bond be able to be used for that plan B, or would we need to, it basically goes away once?
GDOT says no, that performance bond is not a document that helps us. That performance bond is in place in case the project starts and then it falls apart.
Like in summary, the permit has to be issued for the bond to take place is sort
there
of
a
the safest way to say it.
there, or that can we add in there to say option B is in play if option A doesn't work?
There wouldn't be, as far as the bond would not have anything like that in there. Yeah, and Justin, I think the question that's being asked is, if GDOT for some reason said this is not allowable, is there something to say we're still going to work together to meet the benefit required in the TAD agreement?
Yes, absolutely. And if that specific project also would require a bond, we'd be open to that too. That bond is tied to the specific set of plans and specific executed contract.
Yeah, as long as we can get that in writing, that's perfect for me.
The TAD agreement, and as part of the TAD agreement, we had a list of benefits that went with the TAD agreement. And one of the benefits was the connectivity from Motors up to New Peachtree. And that is something that we can hammer on the TAD agreement, that even if this one's not allowed, we would still have to work in good faith to find that. And I think we could probably confirm that was our understanding of that as part of this.
Oh, that's great. That's all. That was my only major concern. I hate to see it keep getting left behind if that was the case and we keep moving forward, but the connectivity never happens. And I understand, I think we share the same concern with not only FIFA, but future events.
Oh, yeah.
And while you're here, IMAX, restrooms, all those other things, is there something you can speak on?
I can speak to restrooms in terms of a question on the prevalence of restrooms around the park. There aren't currently any dedicated restroom facilities around the park as it exists today, but it is contemplated as part of future developments surrounding that area. We would have publicly accessible restrooms.
Thank you.
Thanks. Councilmember Simmons.
Thanks, Mayor. Just a few quick questions. So no, this letter's good. It definitely shows that like GDOT's saying, all right, we're going forward with this, fix these. But my question is this the only reviewer, the engineer, and is he doing electrical, all this stuff, or strictly just structural? Do you know that? If you don't, it's okay.
I don't, based on that letter. I know that was from the
It's
bridge
engineer.
bridge
Yeah.
design. I do know that it was part of a submittal that had all of the major MEPs, so I don't know if that
Okay.
gets broken up through GDOT. This was just the response we got from them as it related to load calculations, but it included landscaping too, so I don't know
Yeah.
if it incorporated many
No,
different.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that. And so that's all I was wondering. I was hoping this would be the only reviewer because sometimes they break it down between all the different trades or
Right.
whatever.
And Mitch, we had a review with Paul Denard, the district engineer,
good.
prior to submitting these plans.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I feel
so
better.
that way, the intent for that was to say, hey, this is the plans we're submitting. Is there a big landmine that you see?
Yeah.
To give us more confidence to again spend the money to do the full set of CD and everything to the money
And-
we've spent to this point.
Because like what I'm reading is it looks good, fix these few things and then move forward from what I've seen in my
Yeah.
past experience.
Yeah.
But this is GDOT and you never know. And then, yeah, I didn't want to sound rude, but I was going to make a comment like Mayor said is you guys should have definitely started earlier if you're looking for another year. You know?
I agree with you
Definitely
100%.
say that.
Yep. Yep.
I didn't mean to be rude, but it's just like matter of fact.
You are correct. Yeah.
So the roads and sidewalk question is, you said low engineering's writing reports. Who's reviewing? I think it's more a Cecil question than you. Sorry, Justin. Who's reviewing those for the sign off for the city? Because I guess we have low representing us to review everything, make sure it's fine. So when we take ownership, we know the compaction tests were done. Nothing really was covered up that we have to go cut in and redo because they overlooked something. I'm assuming that's why that happened.
So what my
Correct.
understanding where we are is, yes, that is the exact letter that is out there. And that was done for CID when the roads were done because CID was involved in that transaction. So we are going to get the low letter that was provided to CID that said these roads were built.
In sidewalks. Ish. It's mainly everything underneath is what I'm talking about.
Exactly. The sidewalks, we'll have to look at it and see.
I'm just wondering, because if we're going to take over something, it's like at least have someone on site inspecting it, and we're sort of past the fact of inspecting.
Tell you exactly what we did. What I did is I talked to Austin and then we talked to Susan, who is very good and is with our plan review group. And I was like, did we inspect when they were building the roads? What went on? And Susan came back, and Austin, feel free to jump in on this. Susan came back and said, what I want is the certification from the inspection entity that inspected when the roads were done. I want that because we didn't do it.
Okay.
I probably wouldn't want to do it. We'd rather have that third party in low.
Yeah, we have a third party. Yeah, that's what we do on that stuff.
I don't have it.
Okay.
If I had that, I would have handed that to you tonight, but you're going to get it to me.
It goes to the CID first, and once
Perfect.
It'll
That's
be
what,
in your packet next
Yeah.
week.
as long as we have a third party inspect and say they sign off, that's just as good.
requirement through the CID, as I understand it, is independent, and Lowe's does that on their
Sweet.
behalf. Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. That was it. Thank you.
Thanks. Councilmember Ray.
Yeah, thank you. Just a couple questions for probably Cecil first. Layman's terms here. So the conveyance of the streets means we're in the future responsible for maintaining those streets. Are we in the future responsible for maintaining the sidewalks as well, or is it an easement and they maintain the sidewalks?
So that is, the sidewalks are going to operate like the rail trail, like the stormwater, you might, the stormwater infrastructure. So the sidewalk, when you look at the agreement, it's the third amendment to the AMA Maintenance Association. And there's really one page that talks about what they're going to do. And how that works under that agreement is the AMA, the Master Association, will determine what needs to be done during the year. They will submit that to us. They will give us the funds for that, and as they do it, we pay it back. They have contracted with us to do that for us. In that agreement, if it is not done, we have the ability for self-help. We have sort of the ability to make sure it gets done, but the theory of how it gets done is with the rail trail, with the parking deck, I think, half of the parking deck, the stormwater infrastructure in the pond. Now it'll include the sidewalks for the park. Each year they'll get with us. This is our anticipated maintenance program. This is the anticipated cost. Here are the funds. And as they do it, they will draw those funds back as part of the contract with us.
But the roads come out of our pocket, right?
Roads are ours.
Just making sure I understand that. And then again for Cecil, let's say, you know, GDOT says no to this ADA ramp. And we say, okay, well, we'll just do a regular path, you know, and maintain the shuttle service or something like that. Is there a provision that says if we drop the ADA requirement, we still have to, you know, Assembly still has to work with us to maintain that city benefit? Or can they just say, well, ADA is not possible, so we're not going to work?
So there is a list to the TAD agreement. There's a list of required benefits, and the path is one. Sounds like we will have in our packet something that says we acknowledge that if the particularly proposed path is not done, we will still honor our request to work something out. But the rest of the benefits are all still out there as well. So the shuttle still required. All
Cool.
that's still required.
Yeah. And the impression I get is they would want to work with that anyway, but just from like a business side of things, was curious. And then last, I think for Justin here, I know GDOT takes, you know, however long they want to take, but any predictions on when you might get a yes or no from them on this?
You know, from the conversations I have with Keck and Wood, who work with them quite a bit, and from their own, the first time they said they'd get a response back 10 to 15 business days, it was 30 to 35. So I would wager somewhere in between. I mean, our hopes to have something by the end of this month, if we submit it this week.
Yeah.
But with it being end of year, it may bleed into January.
Sure.
Yeah,
No, that's fine.
I hate to commit to anything.
No, I'm not. Yeah, I don't need a commitment. I was just kind of.
Yeah, we're trying to work every avenue we can through
For sure.
government affairs and.
And it's been a while since I looked at the plan set you guys sent over. Would you say the design is construction ready, or once you get the
Yes.
approval? Okay.
Yeah, we have a
awesome.
full CD set, an executed contract with the GC. It's ready to go, and the renderings we shared are consistent the last time.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, last thing I'll say is, I was at the comprehensive plan meeting with Justin as well, and walkability came up probably more than anything else. And I think he sees the potential there, getting people off MARTA and head into Assembly, and it really adding to that downtown experience. So I'm excited. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cecil, before you go to Councilmember Armistead, I just, you know, following up on what Councilmember Ray said, the reason that they're conveying the roads to us is because we needed a public good for this whole deal, right? So the roads are the public good.
We issued, the bonds were issued as municipal bonds. So there has to be municipal components to the project, which is the parking deck, the roads. There is a lot of, that's why it has to be public in there as part of making sure we meet the requirements of those municipal.
Okay, but we couldn't have done the roads a different way. We had to have something in there that
The
was going to
structure
belong to
was-
the city.
We had to have
Yep.
adequate public infrastructure to make sure we checked the box.
Right, Councilmember Armistead.
Cecil, I think you might have answered this for me too. My question was about the sidewalk, because I see, you know, they're going to power wash it, they're going to edge it, they're going to trim it, but I didn't see anything in this agreement about the actual, like the concrete, the makeup of the sidewalk.
You've read our mind. That conversation was had as soon as Mark walked in the door that we need to add the maintenance of the more of the structural infrastructure, and that's something we're going to add into that.
Okay, good. Okay, that was my only question. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Renshaw.
Thanks. My biggest concern is in GDOT with the walkway. It's Georgia Power getting connected with the lights and everything. They've been just monstrously slow to do anything. So, and I don't know if this is a legal question or a technical question, but is the ramp, obviously during the day it's usable, but is the ramp usable at night if the lights aren't on, or does it have to get blocked off? Like, where does the responsibilities for safety come into play with that? Because it could take 6 months for Georgia Power to connect the lights that you install. So
You know, that would be something to answer that question. It's a great question. It's a lawyer question. Is the lawyer answer as well? You can't be negligent. And, what is negligent? I'd say, well, we got to go find the experts about building those things and what is the standard that is required. Not every sidewalk has to be lit to be safe, but you could have engineers and we could have city personnel come back and say, no, this has got to be lit. And what I would say is if we have a delay on that, in the everything working perfectly, we would make that analysis as the project went through. And once we knew it was safe, if it was safe without lighting, you could open it at night. If for some reason it had to have lighting because of a structural issue, because of the PD issue, we might say, you know what, we got to close this at this time until we get the lighting installed. That's more of an operational build out and make sure you do it safely. And it's a good point, and we should be aware of things like that. And I don't build stuff, but I can say as the lawyer, yeah, you need to make sure you do it right to make sure nobody gets hurt for any reason out there. And I would talk to people that built sidewalks like that to tell me what the industry standard would be. If we follow industry standard, we probably shielded liability.
Is there lighting in the plan?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So GDOT is doing the lighting?
No,
Georgia Power, who also works at their own respective pace.
There's a lot of light though in that area from 285.
There is, but,
And then we'll stub up conduits and roll.
it only takes them 6 months to connect tennis courts, to piggyback on that, and I brought this up before, but I want to make sure our maintenance department starts to, once that's installed, de-ices that, because it will be a long, slick thing. I just want to make sure, because that's GDOT property, but we know they're not going to maintain the sidewalks from a safety perspective. So I just want to make sure that the city.
That's going to be, it's on GDOT property. We have not, neither, that's going to be typically like under the bridges, probably. We need to talk about that maintenance responsibility, I think.
I don't want to see anybody get hurt as they use them more and more as we.
We'll get extra lights.
And then and I brought this up previously, but, and I think you had mentioned having an updated drawing, but my only concern with the turning over the roads is that, concrete trucks weigh up to 75,000 pounds. So, as construction happens on the site, roads and road beds can be damaged due to, heavy construction vehicular traffic. So there either needs to be an alternative entrance that's separate from everything else, which I think is something you said you had been planning on doing.
Yeah, we will provide our ingress egress plan for development and construction as part of the packet for next
Okay,
week.
great.
And I know you had mentioned, I'll leave it to you on the question of you have ways to cure that should we damage it once they are conveyed.
And when, if they come in with a development, they come in and say, we're going to build an apartment building, then we have plan review, and plan review includes how are you bringing the vehicles in? How are you doing your stormwater? How you make sure you have, you don't put the mud into the drains, and all that is part of the process. So people construct on our streets all the time. And if somebody damaged our streets, we do have recourse on that, but really we would generally take care of it on the front end by having a good plan as part of the construction.
DeKalb County damaged our streets when they were doing the stormwater work in Northwoods, and they certainly didn't pay to put anything back. It's the bigger the player, the worse the offender they seem to be. But DeKalb County, if you're listening, please come fix the roads you damaged with your heavy vehicles. Those were my only two big concerns, but I really appreciate you guys moving forward with all this. And I know you're looking forward to FIFA events, so I know you guys want to get this done just as much as we want to see it done. So thank you.
And Councilmember Kuntz.
A couple of things I wanted to comment on was, you brought up a good point, Mayor, about these public roads. And one of the keys to that being as part of the TAD, which done a lot of work over the years dealing with this TAD thing, it ensures that this is not just a gated off private development. Given these are public roads, once they're deeded over to us, they can't come in and put up gates and say, we're going to just make this all a movie studio, or we're going to just make this whole thing a filmable thing. They can't just come in and block off roads ever because they're public roads. And so that's part of why this is part of this TAD project, is to ensure that this is a public development and not a private development. And that's, because we've had residents ask the same question about how do we know they're not going to just turn this into a country club or, and that sort of thing. And that's how you do it, is having public roads and public sidewalks and a public park and public access and all that stuff. And one of the things that I had a big concern over was, because this is a long-term agreement, and I implicitly trust, Gray Media, Hilton, the whole, they've done what they said they were going to do and all that stuff. But 20 years from now, Hilton may retire. We got different people running the studio, or and may have somebody that comes up with a bright idea. Well, I just don't like all these people at my park, and we're just going to do filming for the next 2 years, and come up with some loophole of making it not public accessible. And one of the things we've discussed is that an event can only last 8 days, and so that limits you being able to string together, these $100,000 access triggering things that just happen endlessly. It pretty much keeps that from being a question. And I appreciate y'all. I know we talked about different ways of dealing with this. And I think you were the one that came up with this 8-day thing. And I really felt that was a great compromise to make us feel safe that this was actually going to be a public park.
That was one of the things that is in what we're going to meet on tomorrow, but broadly, it's what constitutes a park closure day. Is it 2 hours, 5 hours, whatever? And then how many of these consecutive park closures would require notification to city manager or their designee for approval? And it's all in the spirit of that collaborative effort, as these events are organic and changing throughout the year, that there's constant communication through a cadence of meetings on working together on this. But yes, no, that's not the intent. But if you find someone, again, that wants to film for 3 years, I'd love to talk to them.
Right. Right. And no, I feel like we did one previous round of this, and there were some folks that were saying that, like, Georgia Power hasn't installed the street lights. They're supposed to be part of this. And y'all had bought the poles, and yeah, they weren't up because GDOT was not GDOT, but Georgia Power still hadn't come in and installed the poles.
Yep.
And so, yeah, technically it wasn't complete, but it wasn't through any fault of yours. And I think there was like 4 feet of a sidewalk that wasn't done because you were contemplating building the roundabout. And it would be stupid to pour 4 feet of that concrete sidewalk to just come out with a jackhammer and tear it up 3 weeks later when you put in the roundabout. So, and having trusted you through that process, you've delivered everything you said you were going to do last time, and you've built the studios, and we've talked about other things that you guys have done as far as being partners. Like, I just had assumed those roads that were, that Chief Atkinson found that were broken up, I thought those had already been conveyed by the previous owner, and they never conveyed any of the roads. And so y'all got stuck with, y'all inherited some problems with the site from the previous folks. And I know y'all also took it on the chin, relieving the city of $1.5 million of a GTIB loan that you didn't have to do, but they did. And, the residents of the city now don't have to worry about who's going to end up paying that loan off or getting the city getting stuck with that. So, I appreciate all the good faith that y'all have put forward. And I'm pretty sure we can come up with something we can all live with.
I agree. Thank you.
Thank you. I think Councilmember Henshaw had another question or comment.
Yeah, I have one logistics question. The band shell is under construction currently, and you have East Common and West Commons closed off, as you should, for safety.
Yes.
But if these roads get conveyed over to the city, we talk about the police are in charge of closing public roads. Now it's a public road, but it's closed by a private entity. So how does that changeover work?
All those things will work through our normal processes.
Standard operating.
Yeah, if anybody was constructing, constructing a house, and, I don't sometimes they'll put their dumpster in the road. They have to come to us. It has to go through our permitting process and be authorized. So in this event, if these roads were private and they came in to build the band shell, public, and came in to build the band shell, they would submit those plans. And as part of that plan, they'd have a road closure plan. And you work through the road closure plan, and, that's how you end up with people that, the people staying there letting cars go through. That's all part of a plan that's submitted when you do a project. So, yes.
I guess my question would be, and obviously, get ahead of that because we know that's coming, right? So, are they allowed to use private well, those roads in this particular case, so they're just closed off. There's nobody that's letting traffic through. But, would they be required to use the Doraville Police Department as part of that SOP, or are they allowed to use their own on-site security because they have that? Like, is there anything else that we've extended?
Yeah.
Sorry, Chief. I just want to make sure we've got that in writing somewhere, however that needs to work.
I'm understanding right. Now if, say there's a contractor out doing work on Oak Cliff Road, they don't have to use us. If some of them do, but some of them hire their own companies to work, the flaggers and
Okay.
like that. So they don't have to hire us.
Oh, good.
Some
Okay.
of them do.
Okay, so then you guys can just continue to use your own personnel. Okay, that's, as long as we have that in place, that's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
Anything else on this side? Anything else on this side? All right, so we'll see this again next week.
Yes.
Hopefully we'll be able to talk about it a little less.
I appreciate it. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for your time.
All right, so we've got Cecil, another item that I think you're starting with. And we just talked about this last month, so I do hope we don't have tons of discussion about it.
What we did is we went and we took the items that were in the package, made a very simple ordinance, amendment to our ordinances that will add this in. And the basics of this, as was pointed out in the agenda item last month, is it basically outlaws the sale of pet shops selling animals in shops, dogs, cats. There's also been a request that we add rabbits into this as well. And instead, this says, if you want to offer animals to the public, you have to work in conjunction with a nonprofit or humane society and have an adoption event, not a, dollar X amount for the dog here. So really that is the primary thing that's accomplished by this ordinance. If you own a pet shop, can't hold out animals for sale. You have to do adoption events in conjunction with a nonprofit or a veterinary provider. The second one is, again, and I think we've had this at different places, you can't sell any animal under 8 weeks. So it allows them, I think, that's appropriate time with the mother. That's what this does. It provides penalties. Very, very simple. I think it's a good regulation. So we've prepared that and it's ready to go. And I think if we wanted to add rabbits, it would be easy to do, to just.
Okay, so just in if we happen to pass this tonight, say include rabbits if we want to do that.
I'll put rabbit.
Any questions or comments on this side? Councilmember Evans?
No, this is not a zoning, so all this is 2 reads required, though.
Yeah,
This is.
I was like,
Nope,
Yeah.
nope.
needs to say public hearing too. Councilmember Evans?
Just for clarity, so a business like the paw stand, could they sell or do they need to bring a charitable organization?
That's a great example. They could not have animals held on site for sale to people walking in and saying, I'll buy that dog. But they could have an event where they worked with a local nonprofit to have animals there on a certain date up for adoption.
Anything else on this side? Anyone? Councilmember Simmons, did you want to say anything?
Other than wanting to waive first read, I just wanted to thank Peggy and Ariel and Cecil and everyone working on this. Thank you.
Anyone else got anything? Okay, so is that motion to waive first read?
Yep, I'd like to make a motion to waive first read.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of waiving first read?
Aye.
Would you like to make a motion, sir?
Please, please. Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance creating section C-1015 of the Code of Doraville ordinance regulating the sale of pets at pet shops in the city of Doraville and adding in rabbits to that ordinance.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discuss?
Just want to make clarity. I think you said C1015 and it's 6-1.
Oh, sorry. Correction, 6-1015 if I did say C.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, I'll call the roll. Councilmember Simmons,
Yes.
Councilmember Armistead,
Yes.
Councilmember Ray,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Kuntz,
Yes.
Councilmember Henshaw.
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Thank you. All right, next, I guess, Chief, if you don't mind coming up for this one, Councilmember Kuntz, I'll turn it over to you for this discussion item.
Okay. And, you know, in the 8 years that I've been on the council, I've voted yes or agreed with consent agendas that had flight cameras being brought into the city. And when when these things were first being brought to us for a vote, we were told they were license plate readers. And I thought, maybe falsely, maybe it was the technology at the time, I assumed that it was like an optical character recognition scanner is, where you put a document or something that has numbers or letters on it, and it reads the letters and numbers and puts it into a text code like a spreadsheet, and you would have a list of the license plates that drove by the camera, and that would be the only data being recorded and saved. But I've become aware that and I don't know how long they've been doing this, if this was a thing at the start, if they just started doing more of this, that they're actually storing the videos, and they're using AI to go through the videos to, do, recognition of the colors of the cars, what kind of car, the car's got a dent in it, car's got a bumper sticker, things other than license plate reading. And they're also used to, pedestrians obviously don't have license plates. And my concern is, how far are we willing, and this is, I'm not asking for any vote or anything tonight, any kind of thing, just a discussion or bringing this point up, given that I voted for so many of these things, and now I'm having second thoughts about how much of a surveillance kind of community we've created with these cameras. And right now, Flock is in negotiations with Ring to potentially use their data. And Ring has announced starting this month that all these Ring cameras that are doorbell cameras are doing facial recognition, so that as a person that's not committing any crime, there's no reason to think that I need to be, monitored every time I walk by somebody's house with one of those cameras. There's a data center somewhere that recognizes me walking down the street in front of this camera, and somebody's collecting that data. And that's outside of Flock right now. But, given the advancements in AI, what's going to be capable from these systems in the near future, and where is this headed? And is it something that we feel is a good thing for, basically people's Fourth Amendment rights of, having a right to, some sort of search and seizure, whatever you want to call it, kind of thing, when we're not just monitoring criminals, we're monitoring everyone. And I guess some of my questions were, and I'm sure maybe some of you folks have some questions too, is my understanding is we're not storing the data, Flock is, correct?
Yes, we own the data, and Flock stores the data for us.
Okay. And who right now has access to this data? What agencies?
Well, the data is shared across the system. If an agency asks us, Chamblee, we can share our cameras with them. I want to make a point that our LPRs license plate readers do not record video. They only take still images of vehicles.
Okay,
Tag number, type of vehicle. Okay, it's not taking pictures of the people inside the vehicle. It is only taking still images, no video recording. The only cameras that we have that video record are in our parks.
okay.
I'm sorry. Those are. Oh, yeah, well,
But the body cam footage is, we store that.
outside of that, yes, body camera. But as far as flock, the only flock cameras that we have are the condors in our parks that video record. The LPRs that we have only take still images of a particular point in time.
But it's an image, it's not just a record of the license plate. It's a picture of when the car drives by of the car and everything within the camera's view.
Yes, to your point, you know, they can pick up on a car that has a dent in it. Yes, it can. And I'll give you a success story of that. We had a homicide. The case was solved because investigators were able to identify the vehicle because it was missing a toe tag on the back of the car. And we were able to identify that vehicle, and just probably 3 weeks ago.
No, and I have no
we got a
doubt that,
conviction.
that crimes are being solved by these cameras.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say that these are not useful for crime prevention, but, you could make the same assumption saying, well, we know, we're pretty sure this guy's a drug dealer. We don't need a search warrant to like just break into his house and they're the drugs. See, we were right. You know, and there've been cases of folks that have been arrested based off flock cameras because they were like, well, your car was seen in the video, your car was seen in the vicinity when this break-in happened. And not in the city of Doraville, but in other cities, there's been people that have been arrested and they had to prove their innocence because the police department was convinced that they were the criminal based off of camera footage by one of these cameras.
If they were arrested, that would require the agency, wherever it is, to put that person who they suspected on a hot list. That once that vehicle went past the camera, if they were wanted, it would send an alert, wanted person. So evidently it was intentional that that person was put on that hot list somehow.
Well, my understanding, I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm getting into the weeds here because, you know, I think there's police departments that have been abusing what this system's capable of. And my concern is just, in the direction, like I said, that AI is going. Are they going to come, you know, are they soon going to be installing video cameras everywhere instead of still cameras? And are they going to start just triggering the camera every 2 seconds, whether there's a car driving by or not? I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if we know what they're doing. And I know data, people want to buy data. There was a case recently where a police officer in Sandy Springs was caught selling the data from the flock system to a business that he worked for so that they could use it for, I don't know what, but clearly there was an outside party that wanted this. And I know that Flock has said that they sell these systems to homeowners associations, to commercial businesses. It's not just police departments. And I mean, I could talk, I'm not gonna, I don't want to take up a bunch of time talking about this stuff. I just have concerns. And I know nothing's gonna happen within my next council meeting that I'm gonna be up here on, but I just wanted to bring this up as a discussion item for you guys to consider in the future. And when future flock camera installations come, when changes the term of service happen, that if they do partner with Ring and they're using facial recognition software, you can always say, but it's gonna say, it's gonna, you know, we're gonna catch this one murderer, but at what cost? And how much of our privacy are we willing to give up? I mean, it's that whole thing of, well, if you're not doing anything wrong, you should be okay with us putting a camera in your house. Or you should be okay with the insurance company plugging this thing in your car to monitor your, your travel speed every minute. It's like, I don't want that invasion in my life. And that's why I brought this up. So that's all I've got for tonight.
I think I have a few comments, but I wanted to see Chief, do you have, I think everybody up here understands that there are a lot of benefits from a policing perspective from Flock, but is there anything else you want to add about the system?
No, I just want to make clear that it's only in the public roadway, which, there's no expectation of privacy in that roadway. And it's not video recording. It's only still images. And where Flock stores that metadata, we reached out to them, and it's in the same class of environment as what NASA uses for the Mars rover, the Census Bureau uses for the 2020 census website, DoD uses for mission systems, and law enforcement uses for our criminal justice information systems. It's the AWS GovCloud. So there is, some features that are, really strict, because it's in the same realm as those others. That's some of the most sensitive data that we.
But Chief, like also you can, like a Doraville police officer can put in a license plate, and if it hit anywhere, like in jurisdictions in other states, that'll come back to us, right? And I'm sure vice versa.
Correct.
So the data is secure, but at the same time, it's accessible, right? So I think that's like part of the concern. I guess I would say I do have some personal privacy concerns because I do think that we've, this kind of came very quick and went from, license plate readers, but I think we always knew, we just didn't realize how good the technology was. And kind of my eyes opened when I started hearing about police departments in Indiana pinging Doraville and vice versa. It's a lot bigger than you necessarily think.
Let me add one other thing too. They just had this, Denver, Colorado had a big thing about this, and an example of where I think this is going too far is we all know Texas passed those abortion laws where if you're a pregnant woman in Texas, you cannot leave the state to have an abortion. And they're using Flock cameras to track pregnant women to make sure that they don't leave the state in Texas. And that's, to me, concerning that we're not just looking for criminals, we're tracking people that could possibly do something that the state doesn't want them to do.
Well, and
I don't know how far Georgia is for passing some abortion bill like that.
well, I think it goes beyond that too, because I think that, you've got this system of tracking that's really nationwide at this point. We've helped install it, and, you've got certain classes of people who the government is looking, the federal government might be looking for. Doraville has very little. I don't think if the feds came and, made some agreement with Flock, I don't think we couldn't stop that. I don't think. I think it's,
that's just part of what we signed up for.
So I do think that my personal opinion, I think I've said it before, it sometimes is that we do need to be thinking, and I do think as a society, we're losing the right to privacy, like we're kind of chipping away at it in different ways. And there are reasons that it makes sense to do it. Like I do think that there are valuable things that, the police gains from the system, but there are trade-offs too. And I think we need to be thinking about that because you might be okay with the government today, but you never know what tomorrow will look like and who will have that access to that data. And I think that's something that we should, personally, I think we should be thinking about that as we kind of look at any of these new technologies. And, I have some concerns about the cameras in the parks, but, I also understand why we want them there because we have the bathrooms and, we want to know if something bad is happening there. So everything is sort of, a balance, but I do worry that we're moving in this part of giving up some of the anonymity and freedom that we had in the past. Councilmember, anything else?
Maybe after everybody speaks on.
Councilmember Evans?
I was just gonna ask about the shot detectors. Do they tie into Flock or the body cams, or is it that totally separate altogether?
No, we get the alerts over the system, but it's totally separate. It's only gunshot detection.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Councilmember Henshaw?
No additional questions, but I thank you for bringing this forward.
Councilmember Armistead?
Thank you. Who, is it only the police that have access to this data? I guess one of the questions came up about whether this would be subject to public records. So if I wanted to know where my estranged husband had been driving around, would I be able to access that through?
No.
Okay.
The data, under law 35-1-22, this data is not for public disclosure.
Is that a Georgia law?
That's Georgia law.
Because that, like when Doraville showed up on that open records request, was it Indiana or something?
Illinois.
Illinois. We did show up on like another state because we had pinged someone, and kind of like got highlighted and flagged. But some people do have public. It's just not in Georgia, I guess.
Correct. In Georgia, they passed the law 35-1-22, and it explicitly states that captured license plate data held by law enforcement shall not be subject to public disclosure under Georgia open records laws. Now, other states allow that. I wouldn't want to go into operationally what we're doing, but I will say that we are taking care of that that issue, and it has been taken care of. And number one, it protects against law enforcement doing it, but it also, number two, a random citizen can't say, okay, I want to know everything about this tag, because it might be somebody that they're stalking, and try to see a pattern or try to see where they're at, and then they go and harm that person. So Georgia has passed that law, 35-1-22, that states that the data is not for public disclosure.
Thank you. That's good. Are there other sharing agreements that we've had to opt into as a city to say, yes, we will share with this agency, but not that agency, or is it sort of all in?
We get requests from different agencies, as well as we request agents, their hot list. Because that's the way that we get alerted when someone comes into our city that might have a warrant or the car's stolen, something like that. So yes, we get asked to share, and we, ask them for share with us.
Is that fluid? Like, would there ever be a time when not that we would necessarily, but we could just say, oh, we're putting our guardrails up and we're only sharing this data internally?
I mean, I guess we could, but really limiting ourselves to only our cameras, and not have an idea that someone has come into our city who's wanted in Chamblee or wanted, in another municipality.
Okay, I think those are my questions for now, but thank you.
I guess, Chief, what you said just reminded me, I think there was someone, maybe it was a sheriff or someone who had access to Flock up in, kind of like up 85 somewhere, but he was stalking some.
Chief of Police of Brazelton was just
Brazel,
arrested.
that was it. Yeah, he was stalking someone and using that data to do it.
Absolutely. He was just arrested probably 2 weeks ago.
Do we have
that.
anything that would prevent that kind of use of the system?
Well, state law, our contract, and our internal policy doesn't allow us to do
We'd audit
surveillance
anything that looks
sweeps.
kind of weird.
Right, yeah, no, our policy, our supervisors are, monitoring things like that, so, no. Could it happen? I don't want to say that it couldn't, but
A follow-up to that line, is there anything that would stop the Brazelton police guy, if he accesses the Flock system, it automatically will give him access to our cameras without putting in like a formal request to the city of Doraville?
if they have asked, if we have shared our stuff with them, our information with them,
With who, by them, with,
whoever,
Whatever the department.
whoever the department is.
so who are we not sharing it with?
I don't have a list of who all we're
No, because, I mean, I think in an MOU, it would have, you're agreeing to allow your data to be shared with everybody, with these few people, with these four
We
cities.
get requests to share our hot list with agencies and we request to share with them or
Probably like a mutual thing.
mutual,
Okay,
right.
If you want it, we'll.
I guess my question is, do we have to approve that request or does it just happen?
No. It has to be approved. We have, one of our officers has to go in and physically approve any request that we get to share our data with someone else.
Okay.
All right. Councilmember Simmons?
Though, thanks for bringing this up, Councilmember Kuntz. I mean, there are definitely some negatives of it, but I personally think there's a lot more positives of the stuff because, I mean, I think it all just went south with phones. Like they can track us now with phones. Georgia DOT has cameras over interstates. The news media I see has cameras and not just still shots. So like if whoever's wanting the info is going to get it somehow, I understand you sort of want to stop another avenue or just bring it to our attention for another avenue. I totally understand that.
I do want to correct one thing. They don't have access to your phone GPS without a search warrant.
Okay.
That was the Supreme Court weighed in on that.
And I know it just pings an area too. It's not an exact location.
Yeah, but you can't, even, the police department can't go to, Verizon and say, we want the GPS data from this phone.
Oh, yeah.
And this thing, they have to have a search warrant. Go ahead.
Let's
All right.
let Councilmember.
But anyway, I mean, they can find ways to do all that stuff and especially with, I just feel like there's a lot of stuff we don't know that they tap in and do. I understand you need warrants on certain things, but I definitely think stuff happens around, but doesn't bother me as much, but I totally understand there's a concern. Don't mind talking and discussing about it. But I just feel like I wonder if was that guy that fled from on 285 in that wreck, was he found through anything like that, or was it strictly just in Grady when he came up?
The
So
accident.
flocked him?
the
Okay.
accident.
Yeah. That's what I was wondering. It's like stuff like that.
When we initially got, because we encountered that gentleman or that guy twice that night. And the second time is when the fatality accident happened. How we found him didn't have anything to do with Flock. He ran on foot, so.
Oh.
That was
Okay.
not how we found him.
Oh.
Track blood.
Sorry?
Track the trail of blood.
Right. Well, we did have an officer who, because he hit a car on Beaufort Highway before he went up on the.
Yeah.
We
No.
had an officer who was working that wreck, felt like they saw someone run down the hill from the interstate, but was concentrating on the wreck and wasn't able to pursue.
Yeah.
So we understand, we know now that what she saw was
And then our flock cameras, we just have a few around the perimeter of the city, right? From what I remember, wasn't, or do we have,
We
did
have
we get
more
a few more in?
We have more than that now.
Okay. I thought at first, did we just start with around the city or am I thinking?
We started with the gateways of
Okay.
the city.
That,
And then we identified
Yeah.
hotspot areas, that we were able to put them, like
yeah, okay.
high traffic areas where we have issues.
Yeah.
So that, if they pass one and they don't pass another, you've narrowed where you have to search. That's how we found, guy from Chamblee that had been shot.
Mm-hmm.
He was going up New Peachtree and went down McElroy, and he hit on a camera right there at McElroy and Pleasant Valley, and didn't hit on any other cameras. And we found him in the apartments right there at Alderwood with a gunshot wound.
And then, so obviously they're bad apples like the police chief in Brazelton. Do you hear of more instances like that? Like, are there more that we don't hear about that happen or it's not as common?
Well, I don't hear about it. I mean, obviously.
So we would hear,
One,
okay.
because it made the news and made the media, and I heard about the one at Sandy Springs. He was selling the data. He was a reserve officer, and he was giving the data to whoever he worked with or something of that name.
So the system has whoever logs in to find it, it sort of tells them who logs in, who shares that, who it was. Okay. Okay. And do certain people get flagged for using it, or is it like only a certain few people that can log in?
No, it's our sworn officers.
Okay. All right.
This data is we only hold this data for 30 days. So there's a short window of time that we have to go back and.
Oh, and then it gets erased?
Sir, yes.
Oh,
It's deleted after 30 days. It's a rolling deletion,
okay.
30 days, unless if there's some reason why we need it,
Mm-hmm.
court or a case or something like that. But it's a rolling deletion, and that's by design. And most municipalities have, that's the standard, 30 days.
Hmm.
State law says we can hold it for 30 months, but we do 30 days,
Okay.
which is what other agencies do.
All right. Thank you.
Councilmember Ray?
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for bringing this up, Councilmember Kuntz. I remember when we had this in the consent agenda, I called Chris Eldridge about it because I have what I will say is a healthy distrust of tech companies. And also I have concerns about this direction of a surveillance state we're going in. I do know Chris Eldridge told me that this acts as a pretty clear force multiplier for your guys, right? I mean, if I remember correctly, our annual subscription is significantly less than what it would cost to even hire one additional officer. So all of that to say, I see the pros of it and hearing the pros of it. I think wanting to look for possible areas of regulation around it, even at a municipal level, makes sense, not because of a distrust of our police officers, but of a distrust of the possibilities of future directions. You're not worried about a surveillance state when the people you like are in control. It's if that changes at any point. So anyway, I do have a few questions. I just want to be clear that none of these are meant to suggest how you should be doing any of the job or any policing. They're just curiosity questions, and so I can better understand the system. So you mentioned we own the data. Has Flock said whether or not they can access the data themselves if you don't give them permission to, since they own the cameras?
I have not asked them,
Okay.
but I can find that out.
I'd be curious about that. Just if we're the sole owners of the data and they just let us, as part of the subscription, store it on their servers, or if they have their own access to it for metadata reasons. And then you mentioned that it's up to us to determine who gets to look at the data. Do we have like a set of rules in place around that? Or maybe a different question is, if another municipality reaches out and wants us to share our hot list with their hot list, do we, before approving it, do we require them to give us a reason why they want the data, or is it more just a good faith approach?
A good faith approach.
Okay. And then I think you've answered this earlier, but the data, so, if someone in Indiana puts in a hot license plate and they're curious, if our camera picks it up, they do not get notified of that unless we've given them approval
Unless
to
if-
access
Unless
our
if
data.
we shared that hot list with them.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I mean, those are my questions. I would just say, obviously, we're not going to vote on anything anytime soon. I would be personally interested in looking at, do we want to put rules in place, working with the police department to say, only on certain thoroughfares to help give people, a feel of privacy? Do we want to go ahead and start talking about, okay, if they come out with AI cameras that do film instead of take pictures, is it worth, putting that up to a vote before automatically having them installed or anything like that? None of these are hard suggestions or even thought through. I think it would be interesting from a privacy perspective to consider those things prior to moving further out of Pandora's box here with all of the cameras going up. I mean, when you think about Ring and Simply Safe has a doorbell, you've got Flock. I mean, we've got cameras on us constantly. And is there a way that we can utilize this tool to help the police continue to do their job and a very good job, or while still regulating it, or is it just all or nothing? So just a pondering thought for you guys for the future, but that's kind of where I'm at.
Councilmember Evans has something. I guess I also just wanted to mention for council, maybe something to think about over the next year, since we just put together our legislative package. But maybe this is one of those issues that I feel is bigger than Doraville. Really, like, honestly, it's almost federal, but really, like, I think privacy legislation really should be taken up by the state in terms of how do you treat people's personal data. And I think that they really haven't been willing to address this in any factor except for, kind of stuff around protecting children. So, I do think that, maybe there's some sort of there may be legislation that we could advocate for, or even, make a set of principles that we could suggest for them to consider probably in the next session. But, just how this data gets used and how, how we think that it should be regulated, because hard for Doraville to act, way over here when the state is moving in a different direction. The goal would be to get the state to help put some guardrails around it. So that's maybe my suggestion. Councilmember Evans?
Thank you, Mayor. You kind of touched on it already, but just for clarity, a user, you can track their activity even when you allow third-party access or another entity. You can limit what's shared, or you can see box A, but not everything. If that makes sense. I'm trying to.
Well, the individual user, like my profile, I check what I want to be alerted to. Wanted people, stolen vehicles, sex offenders, whatever the case might be. So each individual profile is set up based on what the individual user wants to be alerted to on the hot list. Is that what you were talking about?
For
Or
the most part, just that what's access is tracked so that there is nefarious.
there are a number of things that you can like be alerted to. But be careful with how much you check, because it'll be going off constantly. So I limit mine, and chances are I won't catch a stolen car, but I like to see if stolen cars are coming through our city. So I get alerts for stolen car. I get alerts for wanted people. I get alerts for sexual offenders. So each individual user sets the parameters of what they're alerted to.
Thank you.
Councilmember Coons?
I'm trying to kind of grasp this whole, you keep talking about hot list. When you say a hot list, is that like what you're looking for when you say a hot list?
Yes, that's what I'm being alerted to.
Right. So if, say, somebody's hot list in Alabama has my tag number for whatever reason, let's say I did something stupid, you know, they caught me going 100 miles an hour or something and they want to catch me. If they put that into the flock system and I drive through Doraville, it's going to send them an alert.
It's going to send me an alert that you come through Doraville, if you're wanted, even if you have an Alabama tag, your offense happened in Alabama, it's going to come through if you
If
have,
they've put the alert, it's going to show up on your thing, not on their screen.
because it's in my vicinity, and it's up to me, the officer, to look and locate that vehicle. It's going to say wanted person, blue Toyota Camry, and it with ABC 123 as the tag number, and then we have to
Is this only with
Look.
jurisdiction?
But then how would you figure out where they're wanted? Like,
'cause it'll come up on the hot list of the wanted person for what you're wanted for.
okay, so then you would, I'm just trying to understand how that,
If Alabama takes a warrant out on you, and you live in Alabama, and you come over here for whatever reason, and you're wanted for whatever offense, and they enter your data into the system, and they put your tag number in there, ABC one, or whatever your tag number is,
it's Steffi, like, go ahead.
whatever your tag number is, once that data is entered into the hot list, and if the next
To their
officer,
hot list.
well, if the next officer doesn't have wanted people, you know, if he's not, if he doesn't check wanted people, then he's not going to be alerted that you just went by a camera where he's sitting.
But does
or
that
in the
need-
city.
Does that Alabama agency need to be sharing data with Doraville and vice versa? Or is it just anyone?
How would the people?
No,
in
yes,
Alabama
it's
know?
shared. If it's
Someone
shared,
that- Some agencies.
it's not just a willy-nilly, okay, Alabama's putting all this.
We haven't shared with every agency
Right.
in America.
No.
Does that?
Yeah, it just seems like how that could be that helpful a tool if they're looking, if I'm a suspected of a robbery and here's the tag number, and then there's not a warrant, there's just, I'm a suspect in a thing and they're trying to find me. So they put my tag number in. Some other city drives through some other city. How are they going to ever hear that that car drove through, or here's where that car is?
Well, if you're a wanted person and
Not wanted, just a suspect that they're,
well, if you're on a hot list, and I mean, we're not just gonna go stop anyone just for anything. So evidently, there's some reason why they want you. Then we're gonna, if we find you out on the roadway, we're gonna stop you, and then we have to verify with the other agency. We don't just,
but I mean, because I know y'all say you find murderers or whatever. At that, before they're arrested, they're a suspect. They don't have a warrant for them. Right?
no, I mean, we put, if they're a suspect and we've identified them, then, and we have a warrant for them.
There's it's like a bolo, I guess. I think what Sarah's saying, and you were talking, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. You were talking about sharing data. You got to ask for it. And we were talking about this with someone entering it with the hot list, correct? So we'd have to request Alabama in the past, and Alabama do the same with us to request it in order to get that information that they put the suspect info into in their system.
Right, like
Does-
Birmingham, Alabama.
But if we don't ask for
I
it,
don't know if
we won't
they
get it, right?
have, or I don't know if they've done it or not, but we can ask them for access to their hot list, and they can request access to ours. I don't know if they have. I don't, you know.
So are you asking Stevie, or Councilmember Kentz, that
I just, because you keep saying hot list, like, why would they ask? I want to know what you have checked off in your check boxes as the police chief. Because you're saying that's your hot list. Why would some other agency want to know what?
Nobody would know what I have checked off on my check boxes until I told you.
The hot list is wanted people, right?
Wa-
People with warrants
Wanted
already.
people,
Suspect?
Or stolen cars, reasons to.
sexual
You
offenders.
don't necessarily even know what those are, right? Like, I think that you could be like, hey, this car, we thought it was a little suspicious. Let's put it into it's just kind of like a guess, right? We'll put this license plate in. oh, it pinged in Chamblee, let's call them up, have them check it out. It could be that, something like that too, right?
Yes,
She
like
wouldn't
the
see that
vehicle
it
that,
pinged in Chamblee. Chamblee would say,
like the vehicle that was involved in the shooting down in Chamblee. Chamblee actually called us, and they're the ones who told us, hey, it's coming into your city, because they have access to our cameras, and they followed it on New Peachtree Road. They said, all right, it just passed New Peachtree and Longmire. And then it's at New Peachtree and McElroy. Now it hit at McElroy and Pleasant Valley. All right, so we know it went down.
so
McElroy.
Chamblee has access to our cameras.
Mhm. Yes.
Who else does?
Well, I don't have,
I think they can look at our cameras.
yes.
It's just that, I think really you can get it, because that instant we were talking about, that was someone looking at records from Indiana or from Illinois. So
Right.
that data is being shared pretty widely.
Yes.
So if you have warrant,
That's the point I was making. It the system wouldn't make any sense unless it was being shared. Kind of automatic. If if they had to say this car you're looking for pinged in Doraville, you got to ask them for permission. Then it's like, well, it pinged in Doraville. We know the car's in Doraville.
We can go in and search the system, but like I also identify the cameras that I want to be alerted to.
Okay, now I understand now.
Yeah.
Okay. And I guess the final point I want to make is that I know that cities all over Georgia have been hacked and their networks compromised by hackers getting into their systems, doing, ransomware and all that kind of attacks. And I can't see how you could totally protect a system like this from somebody that hacked the police department's computer network but they couldn't get into the searching flock data through hacking a computer network.
Well, I agree. There's no perfect,
Okay.
breach-proof system.
Right.
That's why, we have the strong encryption, or Flock has the strong encryption. That's why we have the short retention window. Those types of things to help us, get rid of the data while we don't need it.
Okay. I just wanted to bring this up.
no, thanks. And I think I figured out what you were saying. Correct me if I'm wrong. So you can't see the videos in another city unless you request it, but you can get an alert from another city that if that car comes through our city and our cameras. Correct? Is roughly the summary of what you were saying. Is that correct?
Images. We can see
Yeah,
images.
I mean images. Sorry, whatever. To use their cameras in their city, you can't see the image unless you request approval from them. Is that correct?
There's a data sharing agreement.
Right,
between
right.
The cities, but
Right.
once you do it, you say, yes, we'll let you, and they say, yes, we'll
Right.
let you.
But
And so
if we didn't share that agreement and someone they had a bolo on came through our cameras, it would ping and say, this guy
it wouldn't
is,
tell us.
it wouldn't? Okay. Okay, never mind. Thanks. That's all I need. Got it.
All right. So Chief, this is just helpful for the council to understand. This is obviously important technology, but I think it's also, it's challenging. And I think that, there are kind of like big picture questions that make sense to understand a little bit better. So does anyone have anything else they wanted to add to this? Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right, that was the last item that we had. We don't have an executive session tonight, so we'll have council comments. I think first, I was at the senior lunch today and was alerted to the fact that there actually has been a rash of property registry fraud happening throughout the country, but in particular in DeKalb County. The clerk of the Superior Court, Deborah DeBerry, has created a property fraud registry. So you can sign up to have your email pinged if anyone tries to file a lien, take out a loan on your house, change your your deed information in any way. And apparently this happens a lot, particularly to older people. So I strongly encourage everyone up here, everyone who's watching this, to sign up for this system. It's called Filing Activity Notification System, aka FANS. And you can go to dksuperiorclerk.com to enroll in it. I think you will need to share your driver's license because it requires an ID to prove who you are. But I think better to get it on the front end than have like some major loan taken out on your house and then have that affect things that you know, affect your livelihood. Second thing, next meeting is our final meeting with Councilmember Kuntz. I was originally elected to city council in the same election that she came into. It's been a pleasure and an honor to serve with you for the last 8 years. We are going to have a farewell celebration for her next week at starting at 4:30. I can't promise I'll be there that early, but but starting at 4:30 and going till 5:45 at the Dorville Public Library on Van Fleet. Yeah, with good food. I hope a lot of the community comes out. You know, we will miss your presence here, although we're also looking forward to serving with Councilmember-elect Nasser again. But Steffi, it's been an honor to serve with you. So thank you. Well, why don't we start with Councilmember Ray?
Yeah, thank you. I think I'll wait and wax poetic about Steffi next week, but I will say that we had our first meeting for the Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee update. It went very well, lots of focus on walkability, housing, really basically everything the city needs, and it was a really good group. There's a survey online. I believe Councilmember Armistead shared it on her Facebook page. I'm going to do the same. I think some others have as well. Anyone listening, please go fill out that survey. Those responses are going to be tallied and used by the steering committee to help shape this plan. It's a really great, easy way to get involved. It's extremely important towards the future of the city. So please go and share your opinion if you can.
Thank you. Councilmember Simmons?
No, thanks, Mayor, and definitely hats off to Steffi. You know, definitely pleasure being up here with you. So many great ideas and just so much knowledge. So definitely, if we need some help, please come make public comment. Please, please, or be the ghost writer. But no, I wanted to, on top of that, I also wanted to recognize Dorville staff. You know, I was just sitting up here thinking when I heard about that grant for the summer camps, just how, you know, everyone we have from the front office to the back, to the police, to the courts, the clerk, code, it's just such a great staff. And like every different arm of the staff of Dorville always like amazes me each time I'm up here. It's, you know, it's not Austin always doing well or Shantae or so-and-so, you know, there's always someone different carrying the torch each time. And I think that's really cool and speaks volumes for what Dorville has as a staff, which is always hard to get and then retain, which I just want to thank. So like every day, every meeting, just always impressed by the goals and items achieved, you know, from grants to GIS work to catching up our audits and, you know, our new newsletter and sidewalks poured, plus everything else Chief and Crystal do. So just wanted to say thanks and hats off.
Thank you. Councilmember Armistead?
Thank you. Yeah, I wasn't quite ready to give a tribute to Councilmember Kuntz either, but I will say I'm looking forward to celebrating with you next week, and I appreciate your friendship and your mentorship up here, and we're going to miss your passion, but I know that's not going anywhere. So yes, I expect to see you at the podium for public comment.
Thank you. Councilmember Henshaw?
I hope you don't come to public comments. Just call in. I mean, you know, don't make that extra effort. I want to make a comment countering something that was said during public comment. That NANA is not a political organization in any way, shape, or form. It just needs to be clear that it's It's just a neighborhood group, and and they've done an exceptionally good job of staying out of politics for as long as they've been.
You do have Chief Cuomo.
Yeah, and yes, but you both stepped down and did your own thing and haven't been, there's never been a political discussion at any of the events that I've ever been to. So it's about neighborhoods, it's about friendship, it's about community involvement, but it's not about politics. So I just want to make that very clear. You won't be missed. Just get out of here. Just go. Just don't even show up next week. It's just go to Florida and retire.
Show up next. Councilmember Evans.
Thank you, Mayor. Kudos to you. Thank you for your years of service. It's been a pleasure serving next to you. So yes, I concur. Thank you for your mentorship and your guidance. When I was new to council, you were definitely very helpful. So thank you for that. I look forward to partying with you next week. And thank you to our staff for being here late.
And Councilmember Coons.
No, I mean, I'm sure I'll be more long-winded next week, but no, it's been an honor to be up here serving the city, and it's honestly been one of the most rewarding experiences of my life to be part of what this city is becoming and the differences we've made. I feel like Doraville's in a very different place, along with the mayor and all of you guys. And I feel like the city's really got a council that everyone on the council is making decisions based on what is best for Doraville and not catering to whims of certain factions and looking at the whole community, whether they're, people that have lived here 30 years or someone that's renting a house that may only be here 6 months. They're just as important a resident is, because they're all citizens of the city, and they all deserve to have a good life living here. And I think everybody up here believes that. So thanks again.
All right, thank you. Again, 4:30 on Wednesday, so come on out. Would anyone like to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do you have a second? All in favor?
All right.
All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you.